Before you make a vision board, before you set a New Year's resolution, I highly recommend that you make space to reflect, digest, and actually acknowledge what has happened before you set goals or a new destination ahead. I'm Jessica Procini, the founder and leader of Escape from Emotional Eating. And since 2011, I've been helping deep feelers and high achievers embody their full potential by healing their relationship with food, overeating, binge eating, and emotional eating. You can find out more about me and my work at escapefromemotionaleating.com. So, I wanted to share a story if you're willing to stick with me here. And I am a deep feeler and a high achiever. And for many, many, many years, I would be excited about creating goals and dreaming into what I wanted to create without taking a look at the past and what actually life was trying to teach me. I believe life is a giant classroom and we are the students if we accept that position, and that we can actually learn a tremendous amount from what we are experiencing in real time. I believe this to be true about our relationship with food and is a major aspect of my work with my clients because it was a major aspect of how I healed my relationship with food. And I struggled for many years to have a neutral perspective, especially for those of us who are high achievers and deep feelers. We will avoid looking back because it makes us feel feelings. And especially for high achievers and deep feelers, it will challenge and can open a tremendous amount of self-criticism, self-judgment, shame, coulda, woulda, shoulda. It can kind of enable perfectionism. Um, all in all, I know personally how triggering reflection and digestion can be. And yet, I also know that we can master this skill, we can hone it, and we can use reflection and digestion as a tremendous asset and wonderful information to inform a new direction or tweaks or changes to the future. And that way, the goals that we set or the directions that we choose to go become much more in alignment with ourselves and universe, higher power, life, and the things that are going on within it. The story I want to tell you is all about my experience with the ballet bullshit list. So, as I share this story with you, there's something important that you need to know about me personally. So, in my personal life, one of my hobbies for many, many years has been taking adult ballet classes. And in the post pandemic world, I had reconnected with taking classes regularly for a few years. But as the spring of 2025 started to approach, I started to realize that I had really lost my joy of dance. Um, and ballet and I have a very, very long, complicated history, as do many ballet dancers or dancers in general. But for me, it was starting to catch my attention that I had lost my joy at this stage and this chapter of my life. So I really saw it as a signal. It caught my attention and it had risen to a level of intensity where I had just lost the joy completely. Where going to ballet, creating space for ballet, getting ready for ballet, going to like everything that ballet was involved with. I just had this feeling of ugh around it. So, as the summer semester completed, and I was really processing where I was with this feeling and this kind of internal wisdom, I decided to take the summer off from ballet, just completely drop it and really explore and enjoy my summer. But before I fully stepped away and moved into summer, I decided to make a list that I now call the ballet bullshit list. And I simply wrote down everything that I had the ugh feeling around that was connected to ballet. So, just everything and anything connected to ballet that I was unhappy with, I was annoyed by, I was frustrated by. I just got it up, got it out, and wrote it down. And really had no intention other than like, I need to get this out of my body because it was starting to create a level of angst and discomfort. And so I do what I have always done and guide my clients to do as well is get it up, get it out of your head, get it out of your body, and get it down on paper. So that's what I did. And then I just really took the summer to travel, spend time with my husband and family, spend time outside because that's what summer's good for. And I really did enjoy the summer. And there were periods of time in the summer that I definitely had a craving for dance. I um, felt myself yearning to dance, to reconnect with ballet. But I also knew that I was not willing to reconnect with it in the same way that I had been traveling before. I knew something needed to change. I just wasn't quite sure what yet. And I also wasn't quite ready to take it on and face it, or, get creative with it just yet. So, as the summer started to come to an end, it's about the end of August. I knew fall classes would be starting up again. That's when the kind of new semester in ballet starts. There's more opportunities in the fall than there are in the summer. It just felt like the right time to um, reconnect with ballet. I didn't really want to be done with ballet forever. I really desired to dance at, you know, in a joyful way for a really long time. But I was also clear that if I lost my joy, kind of like, what's the point? I'm an adult. This is my hobby. Like, it should be fun. Otherwise, we're like, why are we doing it? It's the end of August, and I decided to find this bullshit list that I had made, and realized that my frustration and annoyance had really passed. I had processed that, and I was really coming to the list with a different perspective than when I made it. And at the first scan of that list, I realized that everything on that list had to do with things around ballet, not ballet itself. So, things on that list had to do with how much time it took to get to class, to take a class. Traditional ballet classes are 90 minutes, and then you have to get there early, and then I want to stay after for point classes, and then we're just getting into more and more time. Um, from where I live, I have to like go from one end of the city all the way to the other at rush hour. through construction. It's just like everything I saw on that list had to do with conditions and didn't have to do with ballet itself. So, right there was a massive breakthrough that I could see of like, oh, these things are actually in my control. It didn't have anything to do with like, I hate plies or I hate tendus or I hate this or I hate moving my body in this way. It had everything to do with the way I set up the practice and the way I was approaching ballet itself. So that was a huge relief and an opening to possibility. And then from there, I took an approach that I often use in my work where fear is the opposite of love, or suffering is the mirror image of truth. And this really stems from the work of Byron Katie. Yeah, so I knew that what I was looking at on my bullshit list was one image in the mirror, and that I also know that I have the skill to do a complete 180 and look at what is the opposite in an effort to get closer to my real, authentic truth. So that's exactly what I did. I took everything that was on my ballet bullshit list, did a complete 180, and it started to reveal enough breadcrumbs that I had a sense and I had a direction in where I was meant to go in the fall semester. So, one of the things that really stood out to me was that I needed to shift my approach and let go of in person classes and really shift to online and Zoom classes and dancing at home because of the other things that I value in my life, like my marriage and an early bedtime and things like that. So I saw that shifting in this way could open the doors to those other aspects. And then there were some things on my list that weren't really clear, and I needed help with. I didn't have all the answers. So from there, I actually started to look around for someone who could help me. I really believe in the power of someone really aligned, holding space, and being able to bounce ideas around with me and willing to collaborate and share possibilities that I don't see. And I just intuitively really felt drawn to this woman named Julie, who I had been subscribed and getting her emails for I don't know, maybe a year now. And one of her emails just really spoke to me. So I replied back and I was like, this is my situation. Um, and I'm just really looking to reinvent my approach. Is this something you could help me with? And from there, we went back and forth. She was a wonderful check for me in the sense of, if I do it this way, will I still reach the goals? And um, yeah, she was a wonderful asset and continued to be as I worked through ballet the last couple of months. Um, and with her help, I let her know that I'm not the type of person that does well with really rigid plans of like do this on Monday, do this on Tuesday, do this on Wednesday. That I actually work really well having a minimum and then a maximum and working within that range, because that allows me to have flexibility and um, intuitive connection with my body based on, what I'm feeling, what I'm learning, but still aligning with my goals. So we set a minimum and maximum, and that was really helpful. And it just really opened a lot of clarity and possibility. Um, and from there, reconnected with ballet at the end of August in a completely different way that feels very radical, because ballet is very set in certain standards. Like, you take a 90-minute class. Um, an all or nothing approach is very common in the ballet world. And I felt like I was going against all of that. so, yeah, felt kind of risky at first, but then I found my groove and have really enjoyed the new approach. Within a week or so, my joy of ballet and dance immediately returned. I've been able to really focus on the things that I'm committed to and interested in working on in ballet, and kind of let go of the things that can either come later or I'm not that excited about. Um, and there's been a lot of freedom and joy that's been brought back into my relationship with ballet. So So I wanted to share this story about my process with the ballet bullshit list from start to finish, um, as an example of what might be helpful to adapt for yourself in any aspect of your life. Maybe it's with movement, maybe it's with your relationship with food, maybe it's a relationship that you've really been frustrated with, or have lost your joy with. I believe that this approach can be helpful to. What I know for sure is that if I hadn't engaged in the ballet bullshit list process, I would have either stopped dancing altogether or tried to go back to the very same approach, like trying to fit myself into a shoe that was like two sizes too small or I had outgrown. I would have just been repeating a period of time that would have just recreated frustration. I would have bumped up against the same challenges. And I don't think it would have been as fruitful as taking the time to really look at my experience, really look at what I was feeling, why I was feeling that way, and give myself time to process and then reinvent when I was ready. So I share this because this past year has been tremendously difficult for many, many people, in expected ways and unexpected ways. And I believe that this past year can be a wonderful teacher if we're willing to look back and see what happened. Where were the bright spots? Where were the darkest moments? Where were the challenges? Um, and use that to inform what we want to tweak and what we want to change moving forward. I believe that this year can really inform how to use the year coming, uh, in a more strategic way, and in a way that perhaps will help you return to joy and reconnect with that feeling, because it's hard already out here. And I hope that this story brings light and hope that with a little reflection and a little digestion and a little rest and a little support if you need it, that the coming year can be drastically different. So that's my story of the ballet bullshit list. If you've stuck around, thank you. Or, I hope that you really did take something away from this. And I'll share links in the description, about me, my work, if you're curious about that. But I hope to be sharing more stories about real life, real human life, in the hopes that you, as a human as well, can learn and improve and be better and more in alignment with your highest self. So, this is Jessica Procini from Escape from Emotional Eating, wishing you a very, very happy holiday season. And I will see you at some point in the new year. Be well, and I'll talk to you soon. All